And gentlemen, welcome to the third game of week number 2. We have Vicinal versus Supremacy here on the Records Yard. We are playing the Spirit. Survivors at Grease, Zero, Vamp, Bronzy, and Swingblade against Zvexy. Let's see how this match turns out. Currently, we are still looking for any rotating survivors. We have not found any just yet. However, this is shaping up to be a very interesting start. The survivors of Vicinal stealthing this very, very well still have not been found by Zvexy, making their rotations. However, we do hear progress on to the bottom side of the map here. Have not seen any survivors. Very, very good stealthing from our survivor player here, whoever it is. We also do see birds over on the free side of the map there. And Zvexy is just going to go over to Shack, seeing if we cannot find any other survivors anywhere else whatsoever. Is not able actually to find anyone just yet. Again, the survivors of Vicinal stealthing this out very, very well. Just have not get found. However, we do see scratch marks. This will probably mean our first chase of the game here. Yes, it is our first chase of the game here. Vamp taking chase over to the 6th side of the map. Actually reading that pallet very, very well. However, will eat a tag for it. Very, very well played from Zvexy. Phase coming in. Let's listen out. Bit of a flashbang play to throw off Zvexy, but it will not work as Vamp will be going down onto the 7th side of the map. Very good stealthing from our survivors of Vicinal, however. First down to Vamp. And we will be hooking. Looking for an ideal place to hook here. We want to hook as close to our 3-gen as possible, and it looks like Zvexy agrees with me on that. We're going to be hooking onto the 9 tile. This is not a terrible start for Zvexy. Now, one thing to note about the Spirit here, Spirit tends to be with this balancing 2k6 to 2k8 stages, can be a 4k as well. It can very much fluctuate between those two types of results as we are heading over to the 5 side of the map here. See another survivor here into Swingblade, kicking his generators, halting any progress that we possibly can. Want to head over back to the 9 side of the map before pull happens. However, Vamp will be getting pulled, wants to make sure that this next chase lasts as long as possible, and to ensure it, an FTP coming in from Grease Zero. As Vamp will be playing the 10 pallet, pre-dropping the pallet, making it a little bit easier for him to play around. However, it will unfortunately result in a tag onto Vamp. Taking the vault over to the Shack. Vaulting into the Shack as well. Has to be very, very careful. Listening out. Is able to make the window. Beautifully played from Vamp. Very, very good stuff here. As he's going to head back over to the 9 side of the map here. This is where he wants to chase progress on the bottom side of the map here. Taking the window. Another phase. As that will be another pallet stun. We also do see scratch marks over to the 9 side of the map here. We have to assume another survivor is probably playing for Vamp here. Phase again. Trying to see if we can maybe get another down here. And we will unfortunately get it down into dead hard. Never mind. Beautifully done from Vamp. This chase, much better than the first one. Beautiful down here from Zvexy, however. Listening out very, very intently. Listening for the grunts of pain from Renato, and will eat the down for it. Unfortunately not dying on the pallet, so whoever was stealthing at 9 will not get the pallet save. And we have hooked in our more ideal location here. This is where the gens were being progressed. As the pallet drop will happen here. Swingblade unfortunately taking a tag here. Swingblade heading over to the 3 side of the map here. Pallet on this side of the map as well. Has to be very, very careful. Phasing. And it's just going to hold W. Over to 1. A flashlight coming through, being very, very patient is Zvexy. Very good Spirit player. Very, very patient with his phases and very, very astute. Listens out very well. I'm not sure the word for it. However, that will be getting pulled. A hook onto Swingblade as well. We're looking for our tunnel out survivor as 9 will pop. Scratch marks heading over to 12, and there is our tunnel out survivor in Vamp. Bronzy going to be probably rotating for Swingblade here. There is another generator popping. 5 it is, and now the rotation for Swingblade will commence here. Vamp taking chase over to the 11th of the map here. Has a very good pallet here. However, into Spirit it can be a little bit iffy. However, it will just be eating a stun here. Phasing. Unfortunately, will not make the pallet, and that will mean a grab. Into Decisive Strike. Beautifully done from Vamp. Was, in fact, the ideal tunnel out into the FTP from Grease Zero. Beautifully played from Team Vicinal here. As that will be eating a down for Vamp as well, making sure that Vamp lasts as long as possible, heading over to the shack to the shack side of the map, no, to the shack as well, dropping the pallet, pre-dropping the pallet as well, breaking the pallet, heading over to the 9 side of the map as well, making sure that his chase lasts as long as possible, pre-dropping the shallow 9 pallet. As we will head over to the 8 tile, still not finding anything. Beautifully played from Vamp here. This is just amazing stuff. Zvexy not able to keep up with it, unfortunately, as we will be seeing a phase here. This down needs to happen, and it needs to happen right now. And unfortunately, it looks like Vamp has no intention of giving it, as not even an injury has happened yet. Will actually as well make this pallet. Vaulting over it, has to be very, very careful here. Just holding, no, actually is going to play the pallet a little bit. Vaulting over it, but will unfortunately eat the tag. Heading over to Shack. Has nothing on this side of the map, however, to use. However, the ideal death location is over at the 3 side of the map, which is exactly where our killer is being taken. No, he's decided that he no longer wants Vamp. He knows that if he keeps chasing that, these gens will pop, and it would all have been for naught. So we are changing our position onto Bronzy. Bronzy heading over to this filler pallet over here at 9, dropping it. Will be eating a tag, however. Doesn't really have much else to go, unfortunately, as another phase will be happening. This will probably be a very early down for Bronzy, unless he still has this pallet. He does, but can he make it work? No, instead he's just deciding to go to the corner. An unfortunate whiff coming in from Zvexy. Bronzy going over to 7 corner as well, and will just be dying. While this is all happening, a reset is going on. Beautiful, beautiful stuff here from Vicinal. Vamp, reset. Greasier's reset. Swing Blade, reset. All the pressure that Zvexy might have had at the beginning, unfortunately, is now lost on him. This is still possible if the survivors of Vicinal make a very crucial mistake. However, with how they've been playing so far, it's not likely a crucial mistake will be happening, as we do see Vamp coming in. However, we're not interested in that chase anymore. Greasero going for the Poe. It will not be a trade, unfortunately, as it will be a trade for an hook for free. Greasero taking the window. And we actually want Bronzy. As there he is, unfortunately not able to make the pallet, and will just be going down over at the 3 side of the map here, dying in the ideal death location. However, it's unfortunately not a long chase. Pick up onto Bronzy, taking him over to the 11 tile. There is a hook here, right by where the generator was being progressed. There is Greasero. We are just leaving, however. Vaulting the window. This might be a purposeful play here from Greasero, but it might also just be an attempt to leave as quickly as we possibly can so that we do not interrupt any of the gens. And it is exactly that, as he will be going down over at 3. No pallet being dropped over at 3. Beautiful stun here coming in from Greasero. Zvexy taking his chase and will actually meet Greasero there. Very, very good stuff from Zvexy. That is a fresh hook. Bronzy will be getting unhooked. A fresh hook is exactly what you need here, especially because you're taking it now into the basement. The survivors of Vicinal will probably just be taking their outs. Let's see what's happening. They are actually cleansing a totem here for second win. So beautiful stuff from Bronzy. Bronzy will be able to reset on his own. This might be a triple save we're seeing come in here. If the survivors of Vicinal pull this off, this will only be 5 stages against a very, very strong killer. Some standard stuff going on here, seeing if we can't find any rotations for the unhook. Now, if I'm Zvexy, yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I'm looking out for birds as well. And there is Vamp. We only have eyes on 1 survivor, so we're going to body block this side of the map here, making sure Vamp has no easy way in. However, the survivors of Vicinal are able to come in through the other side of the shack here. We know it will not be no-ed here, as we will see Swing Blade coming in. This is actually not even going to be a trade. Here is the triple save coming in. Bronzy going to be leaving. Vamp will be taking his tag. No, instead Swing Blade will be taking the tag here. Vamp coming in, has to get a beautiful phase here. Wants to find either Bronzy or Swing Blade. Ideal is Swing Blade, because Swing Blade is a fresh hook. There he is. Unfortunate whiff coming in from Zvexy, as another beautiful hit tag is coming in. The survivors of Vicinal capitalizing on every single mistake being made here. Zvexy needs Swing Blade by any means necessary. There she is, just not able to get it. Has to settle for Vamp, and will actually settle for Vamp here. Vamp is our death hook survivor. So that is going to be 6 stages for Team Supremacy. 1K6. 6 stages is definitely beatable for our survivors of Vicinal. And when we come back, we will see exactly how that will play out. Stay tuned, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second match of set number 1 of game number 3 of week number 2 of the Entities Campfire. We are seeing an instant chase onto Marco here. Vamp on the Spirit here against Team Supremacy. Dave, MXI, Svexy, and Marco on the Survivor side here. Chasing Marco over at the 9 side of the map here. Will be cheap pre-dropping a pallet. Wants to let this chase last as long as possible for his survivors to rotate, as well as start another generator. Taking chase to the ideal location as well. Needs to win a 50-50. A phase happening here. Beautiful stuff here from Vamp, forcing out the panic drop as well as the panic vault. Beautiful stuff from Vamp here, utilizing the Spirit's power and audio manipulation very, very well. A hook onto the 12 side of the map here will actually mean that we can pressure a lot of different gens here. Let's see what our survivors are up to. We have MXI stealthing for this unhook. A gen being progressed on the 5 side of the map, as well as Svexy making sure not to get caught, as it is Dragon's Grip will be happening over here. Wants to fake the phase back to maybe trick the survivors. However, it will now just be a save, not a trade, not an injury onto MXI, as Marco is going to be able to vault the window here. Has to play this loop, unfortunately. Has nowhere else to go. Marco will be taking chase onto the 10 side of the map here. A tag coming in onto MXI. Beautiful body block, making this chase last as long as possible. We still want Marco. Remember, we're playing for 6 stages, so we need less than that to win. A dead hard coming in from Marco, but a little bit too early. This is your proof that this is your tunnel out chase, most likely. No decisive strike coming on, so you have to assume maybe not. But the gen will pop. And we are now going into the shack. We have no agitation, which means we'll get there a little bit slower. However, because of our depth location, we are able to make it phasing outside of the shack here, as another gen will pop in the distance. If you can find MXI here and get a quick down before a pull happens, that would actually be very, very good, as we do see crows coming back to their perch, indicating the presence of a survivor. There is Dave, I believe. No, that is MXI with the sprint burst. Taking chase now. Wants to get a good phase. Does Vamp. Unfortunately, will not happen. Simply taking chase straight through the shack. Wants to look down. Do we see scratch marks? There are no scratch marks. No one's coming for this save, says Vamp. No one's coming to help you, Marco. And there is MXI. A tag coming in onto MXI here. This will mean a trade. No, it will not mean a trade. Beautiful down into shack by Vamp. And that means Marco's going to die for free. There is nothing here that the survivors can do. We're taking our hook. This is catastrophic for Team Supremacy here. They need a colossal mess up for Vamp. From Vamp. And there is 11 being progressed. We see it in the distance. There's 1 being progressed in the distance. However, because of the win condition, we cannot just allow MXI to sit on this hook. Heading back to the shack here. Still no one. As there are scratch marks indicating the presence of a survivor. We want to kick that generator. You have to assume they're stealthing nearby. They ended quite abruptly. And there will be the pull. Relatively free. Probably not at the cost of a tag. We are preventing MXI from leaving this basement. This could be very, very bad for Team Supremacy if MXI is just not able to leave this basement. And it looks like that will exactly be the case here. We're counting down the seconds, and there it is. Eruption happening as well. We can actually play for a tag onto Dave as well. No, we're just content with taking MXI. No, he says, I have a win condition, and I can meet it right here, right now. Especially if we hook right by where the only progress generators are. This is looking very bad for our team, Supremacy. However, I have seen comebacks of greater scale. It would be very, very difficult for Team Supremacy to possibly make a comeback here. However, again, I have seen worse, and I have seen better. Tag onto Zvexy, coming through. There is Dave coming in for the unhook. It will be an unhook. However, no, it won't be an unhook. MXI will simply sit on hook as both of our survivors are now tagged. This is not looking good. The only way for our survivors at this point would probably just to be accept the tie and to try their best to play for the win. But at this stage in the game, it would be nigh impossible for that to happen, as at this point, Vamp just needs to get one more hook and Vicinal takes the set. There's Dragon's Grip, and there's our indicator. We've lost Vamp, sadly. Beautiful stealthing from Zvexy, my fault. As Zvexy now going to be taking chase over to the shack. Most likely a pre-drop. There it is, a drop onto Zvexy here. Dragon's Grip about to run out, if not has already. And a down on Supremacy. It hasn't run out. It was on the tip, on the verge of running out, but it unfortunately will not happen. We are now looking for Dave. Did we just see birds? We did, and that will mean a 4K3. There's Dave accepting his fate. Beautiful stuff from Vicinal. The unfortunate down by the hook. That trade needed to come through, and unfortunately, it just didn't. Very unfortunate stuff for Supremacy. However, a very, very well played game from Vamp and from Team Vicinal, both Survivor side and Killer side, barring any sort of miracle perk that doesn't exist, that is allowed against the Spirit. That is going to be a 4K with 3 gens remaining. I have to say, very, very impressive stuff from Vamp here. It was a lot of back and forth. I mean, the unfortunate basement thing, the unfortunate fact that chases just simply could not last long enough. Their RNG, unfortunately, just wasn't there for them. However, that is why we have balancing, ladies and gentlemen, to mitigate any RNG elements that unfortunately this game just does have. We are now waiting for both of our survivors to go to second hook. Once that happens, that will pretty much be the confirmation of a 4K3. And there it is. Vamp has DC'd, probably getting the indicator that he has been allowed to do so. I will confirm with you all next game. However, 4K3 from Vicinal, beautifully played. When we come back, we will be playing our next set. Stay tuned. And gentlemen, welcome back to the Entities Campfire. We are here on the Azeroth's resting place again with Team Vicinal and Team Supremacy here. Vamp on the Plague against the survivors of Team Supremacy. MXI, Dave, Effie this time, and Zvexy. We're currently just looking for any rotating survivors here, as we would like a rotation here of some sort. Survivors of Team Supremacy understand this and know this very, very well, so they're going to be stealthing their hearts out, trying to prevent any early chases from happening before survivors are able to make it to the other side of the map here. However, Zvexy gonna unfortunately be found. And a tag for Zvexy here coming through. I actually don't mind getting this early tag, as Zvexy doesn't really have much place to go here. An infection coming through as well, taking chase to the bottom mid side of the map here. We are getting power. Any way to shut this chase down as quickly as possible, we will take it. Continuing chase onto Zvexy as well. It's a pretty good start for Vamp. However, the survivors of Team Supremacy have already probably rotated to the top side of the map here, as we will hear Zvexy taking chase over at the main building against the Plague. Not the strongest loop, because he can just do that puking over by the pallet. Will unfortunately not get it down, but Zvexy unfortunately leaning in a little bit too quickly, and a down will happen. Beautiful stuff here from that. Now, here's the thing. This hook is a pain resonance, and it is on the side of the... However, sorry, it is on the side of the map that you don't really want it to be on. You know there was someone here, however, because you saw them, and you also see a bird coming back to their perch. We will take this hill here, get a better vantage point, see if we can't get a lay of the land, see if we can't find any stealthing survivor. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map here, Shack being progressed. The truck side being progressed, and here is MXI stealthing for the unhook. We don't actually suspect MXI of being here. That was honestly very, very close. If Vamp had just aimed a little bit to the right, obviously we were shooting our puke to hit the generator. However, if we had aimed more to the right, we would have caught Vamp, or MXI, apologies. It does look like Zvexy is just going to be going second stage here, which is very, very unfortunate for our survivors. However, both gens on the top side of the map will be popping. Zvexy going second here is unfortunate. However, it isn't the end of the world. There is still a possibility for a re-rotation by Zvexy to the top side of the map for a new death location, as well as a good chase, as well as progress on these bottom side generators. However, that is going to have to happen sooner rather than later, as we do see Effie over onto the bottom side of the map. Beautiful puke to be able to infect Effie. We will also infect that generator, halting its progression. And there is the unhook by MXI. MXI now taking chase with Zvexy. Wants to make sure that Zvexy is able to make it to the other side of the map here. Puke coming through. Wants to try to maybe infect MXI as quickly as possible. You don't hate the play. You don't hate the play to get him infected so that it's easier now to take a hit. This here, what we're doing now, keeping them on the main side of the map here, is exactly what Vamp honestly wants. However, the top mid generator is still being progressed, so that will probably pop there, as MXI will finally get fully infected. There is Zvexy now taking chase over to this loop over here, taking the window. Has to be very, very meticulous about the way that he is chasing here, as we want to prevent the tunnel of enemies necessary, and it's just going to be a swing through the pallet. Beautifully played from Vamp to get that down as quickly as we possibly can there. Unfortunately, just not able to make it to where he needs to be. However, the survivors of Supremacy still progressing these generators quite heavily. Dave, not injured. Very well played from Dave to prevent any infection. It's crucial that an infection onto Dave does not happen, as then Thanatophobia will have its full effect. There is MXI. MXI playing, they'll have to assume balanced landing play happening here, and that is exactly what will be happening. Corrupt Purge coming through to try to get it down as quickly as possible. There is FE as well. Sending out Corrupt Purge. We will not hit anything, unfortunately. MXI taking chase over to the loop on the top side of the map here, exactly where it is needed to be. More Corrupt Purge on this side of the map will unfortunately not hit FE. Dave still probably on the bottom side of the map here. And this gen will not be touched. It's still regressing here, taking our self over to the top side of the map here. No progress to speak of on this generator, so that is a little bit of information for Vamp. We are just looking for a rotation. Literally, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4 gen on the top side of the map here. This is a very, very good position for Vamp here. If Vamp can just hold this, there is very little that Supremacy can do. However, Supremacy will most likely be just playing it as slowly and meticulously as they possibly can. As there it is, the topside generator now being progressed. Dave now taking an infection. That is information for Vamp. Vamp now knows there's a generator, another generator somewhere off in the distance being progressed. However, Effie wants to just take chase onto Effie and MXI, as they're both two survivors heading to the top side of the map here. MXI rotating behind the truck here. However, we just want Effie. Effie still has the shot palette to play. Will still have probably a strong chase, taking the window. Wants to make sure they're prolonging this chase as long as possible. Shaq is a very strong loop, even with Killer, with the Plague with power. And there is the pallet break onto the middle side of the map here. There is MXI as well. MXI unfortunately taking it down, has nothing else to run to. No other line of sight blockers. MXI picked up, and that will be a pain resonance. Dave, fully infected, has been progressing this generator the whole time. Pain resonance coming through, and it will be this middle generator, meaning this is not the generator that Dave was on most likely. Most likely. We want Effie, however, Dave wants MXI, and you have to assume that is exactly what's happening. No, Dave is playing for a win condition here. 4K1 will just be progressing the generator. Thanatophobia, however, progressing it very, very, very slowly. Look at how slowly that generator is progressing. Little by little, Effie needs to take a very good chase here. However, we'll just be left alone, it looks like. This is very interesting stuff from Vamp here. Now that gen will pop, does actually have pressure on the hook. One generator remaining, no other progress on the map to speak of other than this middle generator. Dave's job now is to crank the gens as quickly as she can. We are not interested in taking chase onto Effie. We're more than content with getting MXI to second stage before leaving, then perhaps patrolling our generators here. Effie still just doing some standard stuff, pressuring the unhook so as not to take Vamp's attention away from the progressing generator, as we will be taking chase onto Effie, however, onto the top side of the map here. An unhook will probably be coming through onto, yes it will, to Dave. However, Effie will just be going down, unfortunately, loses a 50-50 on the TNL wall. MXI still on the hook here. It is a race against time to see who can make it to the unhook in time, and unfortunately means that Dave will win that race. A gold medal for Dave. And Dave will actually make this pallet here. However, unfortunately, MXI will not. Beautiful down onto MXI, and barring any sort of amazing chase here from Dave, this will be a 4K with one generator remaining. Survivors of Team Supremacy probably understood that that was the win condition, that was the play, because of the fact that they were not trying super duper hard to break the 3-gen. They were more than content with taking whatever generators they could. Very well played from Supremacy to understand the position and to understand exactly what they were playing for. Barring any miracle perk that is not allowed again in the Plague balancing here on the Entity's Campfire, This will be a 4K with 1 generator remaining. Beautifully played from Team Vicinal, Vamp of Team Vicinal specifically, and very well played from our survivors of Team Supremacy, playing in to their strengths and playing into the win condition. This is still anybody's game here. If the team of Team Supremacy's killer can match Team Vicinal's killer score of 4K1, it means we will be going to our tiebreaker. And there it is. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we will have set number 2, or sorry, game number 2 of set number 2 on the Azaraz in place with the Plague. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Entities Campfire. Here we are on the Azeroth Resting Place with the more Plagues Vexy this time, playing for Team Supremacy against the survivors of Team Vicinal, Greasero, Bronzy, Swingblade, and Slasher. We are again looking for a rotation, standard stuff here when it comes to the Plague. Want to find any sort of rotation that we could possibly find. We are currently just sitting AFK for a second. We might have issues. We might have issues, ladies and gentlemen. I will go again to intermission, and I'll be right back once everything is sorted out. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Entities Campfire. Bit of housekeeping in regards to what happened last game. Bit of a ping issue. We were on the wrong servers, DBD being DBD. The survivors of Vicinal had over 100 ping, whereas our killer player in Zvexy had over 200 ping. So we unfortunately did have to DC in the interest of fairness to make sure that we were on the right lobbies and make sure that all ping was correct. Everything has been tested now, and we should be good to go as we are having our first chase onto Degree 0, going over to the middle side of the map here. Infection already on Degree 0 here. We want to drop this pallet, making sure to extend our chase by any means necessary. Plague's first chase tends to last quite some time here, as she's ostensibly an M1 killer at that point with a power. This is why you want to try to infect the survivors as quickly as you possibly can, as we will be making the Shack when they're full infection coming into Degree 0. However, a life away. We are now playing Shack very strong loop here for Degree 0. Degree 0 in the interest, or being interested in having a very long chase here, rotating around the Shack, understands his distance very well, will be making the Shack pallet and will be dropping it. Very, very good play from Degree 0. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map here, Generators being progressed here. Degree 0 now rotating to the middle side of the map here, wants to have a very, very long chase here, rotating to the middle side of the map, interrupting middle Generator sadly. However, this is all in the interest of extending our chase as long as possible. Meanwhile, only main generator has, or no, 2 generators being progressed. Very, very good stuff here from Degree 0, as it will be a tag onto Swingblade. Very, very good stuff going on here. Now, this is a chase being taken to the side of the map that you don't necessarily want it to be taken. You're a little bit concerned here for the death spot, right? Because main was being progressed here, mid was being progressed here. This will mean that we can actually halt a lot of generator progression here. So definitely interesting as to why we decided to go back over to the top side of the map here. However, another hook onto Swingblade will mean a pain resonance, a little bit of pressure for Zvexy. The middle generator is being progressed, and that was not our pain resonance generator. We understand our pain resonance generator to probably be the main building, as it will be the generator being progressed currently, as we see scratch marks heading away. Now, please excuse me, I actually didn't realize they had so much progress on this side of the map, so this would actually explain why we chose the death spot. Main building is now where all our resources are, where our longest chase will probably be able to be. So it actually does make sense to go over there as we have progress on different sides of the map. Our main building will pop especially. So in the interest of taking chase at the ideal location, honestly, not a bad play going to top. It's very lucky as well that Zvexy did not see any interest in going into the main building here. However, one of those generators would have popped guaranteed had that not have happened, so, or had that had happened. Very, very good stuff here from Team Vicinal. They're breaking their 3-gen very, very well, and if they want to be able to meet their win condition of 4K1, 4K0, they have to do so. Plague is a killer that can play into the 3 gens of Azeroth's resting place very, very well, similarly to Artist. There's Chase onto Slasher here. And unfortunately, just won't be the down, or just take the M1's Zvexy. And it will be happening. Very, very well done from Zvexy, getting a slug onto Slasher on the corner of the map here. Eruption going off. We see the progression of the generator that was hit by it. We're heading straight over there. We need this pressure, as the amount of pressure that Team Vicinal has at this point is immense. This generator is very, very close to popping. We want to wait quickly before Eruption comes off to use it. Now we will use it. Eruption applied. Yet again, this will mean that we need our chase to last as long as possible. And we do see a stealthing survivor. Beautifully done from Zvexy. Very, very good stuff. As I believe, yes, that is Swing Blade, which means this is our Tunnel Out Survivor, our ideal survivor to find. A hook onto this generator will also mean that this generator will no longer be able to be progressed for quite some time here. However, all of our generators are on the bottom side of the map here, meaning that our survivors do have a little bit of freedom. Ideally, you want to pop at least one more generator on this side of the map here to break your 3-gen. Perhaps 2, honestly. Given the hook location, however, it will be a lot easier to do so, as we understand that, says Vexy. And we are going to go check Shaq, and we hear the progression of Shaq, and there is somebody at Shaq, and it is an injured party in Bronzy. We'll be chasing Bronzy. We do still have our Vile Purge, or Corrupt Purge, apologies. We will be sending it, seeing if we cannot make a play here. Bronzy beautifully dodging it, beautiful stuff from Bronzy. However, it will zone her away from the pallet, so the chase will only be extended by an extra 2 to 3 seconds. Dying on the pallet here, but no pallet save to be had, as now Swing Blade has been unhooked. We'll probably be heading back down to that side of the map. Yes, we will be. Shaq is still high progress. However, that generator over at 1 is our target. Bronzy will be unhooked here now. If you're Zvexy, you might have to be content with letting this gen pop. However, we again are looking for our Tunnel Out Survivor, and there is Swing Blade. This is Slasher, my apologies. As we are taking chase onto Slasher, a quick M1 going to be coming through onto Slasher here. No, we are interested in potentially getting a quick down here, so we want to be able to get this full infection onto Slasher, and that will be a full infection as well as a down onto Slasher. Beautiful stuff here from Zvexy. And the slug coming through. We need to find Swing Blade. We do see Grease0 there. Lithing away, taking chase over the A side of the map here, breaking the pallet, and probably just leaving. No, taking chase over to the mid side of the map here. Grease0 taking chase here, trying to make sure that the chase is extended as long as possible. However, we have a truck here to work with. We have to make sure that we are playing our 1v1 chases very, very well here, as we will be able to make the pallet. Beautiful stuff from Grease0. Grease0 needs to win a 50-50 and will actually do so. Swing and a miss coming in from Zvexy, and vaulting straight over the pallet is Grease0. Grease0 taking an amazing chase for only having one resource to work with here. Grease0 again gonna have to vault this pallet and will actually make it again. Beautiful stuff here from Grease0. Bloodlust 2 coming in. Can we break chase? No, we cannot quite, as we will be dropping this pallet again. Beautiful stuff from Grease0. Grease0 will unfortunately lose a 50-50 and will go down. Still an amazing chase from Grease0. Pain Resonance coming through. 8 is a generator you fear, as there is a lot of progress on it now. You have a lot of progress on the bottom and top side of the map here. Now, it is going to be very difficult for Zvexy to be able to defend all of these generators, especially because the 3-gen is completely broken. There is hardly a 3-gen at this point anymore. You have these 2 gens over here. You have the generator mid, but they're so spaced out that this only barely, I think, constitutes the 3-gen. Taking chase onto Swing Blade here. The sooner the down, the better, and it will happen. Beautiful stuff from Zvexy. This is exactly what Zvexy needed. A kill onto Swing Blade, and the only way to bring this back now would be, not even just the only way, but it would be to apply even more pressure. We have 3 injuries here. This is looking actually pretty decent for Zvexy here. Zvexy can actually capitalize on this death and put pressure on the survivors before they pop another generator. Before they pop the last generator, then it would mean a tie. And that's exactly what Zvexy is playing for here. Survivors of Vicinal, however, are going to be playing this very, very meticulously. They're going to be playing it slow, methodically, and carefully to make sure that they do not give a free down against this Zvexy. No survivors seen just as yet. Middle generator will be being progressed. Communication happening. Beautiful communication. Re0 will be leaving the middle generator. A kick on to the middle generator as well. Eruption coming through. This was 2 survivors, in fact. There is, I believe that's Bronzy. Trying to distinguish the coughs of the survivors here. No, that is Bronzy, so that means that was Slasher. The chase onto Slasher will indicate a double out by Re0 and Slasher here. Apologies. Chase onto Bronzy. Bronzy will be taking chase over to the 11th side of the map. However, has no other resources to run to. This will just be a down. Eruption coming through. Slugging. We need to get back there as quickly as possible. Survivors of Vicinal did not have enough time, unfortunately, to pop this generator, so a kick. No eruption applied. Re0 and Slasher are running down the map. Zexy has them right where they want them. Just keeping them on this side of the map here while this generator regresses will mean 0 things will be able to happen, as a rotation will happen onto the 8th side of the map here. However, it will be caught by Zvexy. But this will leave room for Slasher to make some play here. Bronzy does get picked up. Chase onto Re0. Re0 has won a lot of 50s, a lot of different chases in this match so far, so let's see how well Re0 can play this, taking chase over to this amazing tile against an M1 killer here. However, Svexy understands this and wants to just go back to the middle side of the map here, as it was being doubled out. A kick onto that again will mean another stack of eruption applied as well. This generator is going to lose its ability to get kits very, very quickly. I was not counting how many regression events it has taken, but once it reaches the 8th one, it will mean it will no longer be able to be progressed. Or regressed. A kick onto this pallet, and we're heading back to the middle generator. We have to. We can't continue that chase with Re0, as that generator popping would indicate the loss for Team Supremacy. This Vexy needs a down as quickly as possible. Taking chase on to Bronzy here. This chase needs to be quick, and it needs to be happening. It needs to finish now, basically, because you have to assume Re0 is on that middle generator, and I think Zvexy might have accepted his fate here when it comes to that. This chase needs to be so quick here. It needs to happen. It needs to be a down now, and it will be just in time before that generator pops. You have to assume running straight back to that generator. Re0, a minuscule amount of time to pop that generator. No, wasn't even on it. Was on the 8 generator. This might actually have been the play. No, was not on the 8. No, was on the 8 generator. Okay, yeah. So that's what Re0 was doing. Very, very lucky that Zvexy that, you know, Re0 was not working on the middle generator there. Taking chase at the truck. Re0 going to be being very, very careful not to get caught out too easily. Has a pallet still to use. Wants to pre-drop that immediately. Bronzy and Slasher are going to be working that generator. This chase needs to last no time at all. And I think Zvexy is realizing that if it's not going to... What is happening? My brain is confused. Excuse me, I thought for sure that they would have been doubling out that middle generator, but no, they have given up on the middle generator, and they're now progressing 8 and the middle generator. This might actually be the correct choice of course of action here, as we are now putting pressure onto 2 different generators. Vexy cannot protect all of them, and these chases don't, or continue to last an extended amount of time here. One of these generators is definitely going to pop. Have to assume, yes, so there we go. This was actually a double out. Another regression event on this generator. This has to be like 7 or 6 at this point, maybe even the 8th one. 8 is still very close to popping here, and you have to assume it's being progressed little by little by little. taking chase at the bus is Greezero. Greezero has to win these bus 50s and will win the bus 50. That might indicate the end of the game. Not quite. 8, however, is being progressed. Zvexy going to check the 8 generator. There is just too much for Zvexy to worry about here. The only way is for an eruption to apply, but if that is truly the last regression event, because Vexy didn't kick it, that means that I don't even think eruption is going to apply. As the last generator pops, the game is going to Team Vicinal. Beautiful stuff here from Team Vicinal, and amazing stuff from Team Vexy trying to keep up with the pressure that Vicinal applied. Bronzy, unfortunately, not going to be able to force locker, however, as Vexy is content with just simply taking the hook. Beautiful stuff here from Team Vicinal and from Team Supremacy. This match, this game was actually a lot closer than it would seem, despite having that kill at 4K2. I mean, just unfortunate, Vexy just could not keep up with the pressure that the survivors of Team Vicinal applied. Very, very good stuff here. An admirable result from Zvexy, to be sure. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Again, we will be back for more later on, so stay tuned for that. Goodbye.